Start with you. The media is going to say, depending on how this comes out, they're going to say, well, right-wing justices don't want to help kids. You heard the White House press secretary. Don't want to help young people create families. But isn't the economic counter argument that it's actually better for us if we're going to take out these kind of loans to pay them back?
It is. I mean, generally in the markets, if you can't pay a loan, it gets restructured, which is what Senator Manchin, I would infer that's what he basically meant. It certainly does set bad precedent, Charles, no question, and also hurts the people who knowingly and in good faith paid those right. loans back. So I don't think this is a partisan issue as much as probably what's fair and equitable in the sense of you can't make a payment, understandably, work to restructure it, but still make the payment.
You know, Dan, government spending has fueled inflation. There's no doubt about that. If they're given a green light, the administration is given a green light on this. Obviously, they would love to put even trillions of dollars or more out there. They didn't have to go through legislation to do that. I mean, how hard would it make the Federal Reserve's job? I mean, would it be impossible to ever get inflation under control?
Hi, Charles. It would make it even more difficult, and it is certainly almost impossible right now, because the level of monetization of government spending is unprecedented, and the deficit is not under control in any shape or form. The level of additional spending that we would be talking about is impossible to cover with more revenues in a normal cycle. Right. So in any way that you want to look at it, it's inflationary. So if you think about it, it's going to be a program that is going to relieve partially some student debt. However, it's going to be paid by all of American citizens with higher inflation.
You know, let's talk about recession, guys. I had this on earlier. The Cleveland Fed now saying about a 64 probability of recession. That's the highest level since the 1980s, Joe. This is one of the big parlor games on Wall Street. Recession, no, soft landing, hard landing. Where do you come down on this?
Daniel just made a point about government spending. Spending more is not going to get the inflation rate lower because it's going to further goose demand, lift demand relative to fixed supply. The Fed is going to continue to raise rates, Charles, and that's why the yield curve is continued to invert, continued to have that 2-year note rise above the 10-year note. That is a disintermediation phenomenon, and every time we've had a curve, it's always caused recession. So I would say that Cleveland Fed probability index is too low. I think it's almost a near certainty we have something like a recession.
Right. So you're in a 99% camp. Hey, Dan, let me go back to you a little bit, piggyback on this Supreme Court question, and I'm going to ask you both. But the whole thing for me, modern monetary theory, right? That's what this really is starting to boil down to. The idea of free money. And so right now, I think if you were to ask the average person out there, it feels pretty good. You know, they got a bunch of checks. They spent that money. They're having a lot of fun. But 1 year from now, will they feel like they were on the Titanic or maybe the Mardi Gras, right? One of those new big cruise ships, because, essentially this is going to come down to a political issue. People are going to actually vote on this in America. And I'm really concerned that if it feels like a carnival, they may say, let's keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely, Charles. Ronald Reagan used to say that inflation is the price of the things that the government gives you that you thought were free. And what we are seeing right now, the elevated levels of inflation, is precisely because of the extreme level of monetary stimulus that happened in 2020, a massive increase in money supply well above the GDP growth. But more importantly, modern monetary theory, this MMT fallacy, is not modern and it's not a theory. It has been implemented all over the world for centuries. It destroyed the currency in the French Revolution. It destroyed the currency in Germany. It destroyed the currency. It has and continues to destroy the currency in Argentina, in Turkey, in Iran. Implementing modern monetary theory is coming back to the point of destruction of the purchasing power of the currency, is making everyone in America poorer.
Real quick, you worked in the White House, so you understand there's the economics of this and the messaging of this. I'm always worried about Republicans. It's easy to go out and sell the Mardi Gras version of this, right? Because you got a bunch of money, you went out and spent it. What's wrong with that? Make the rich pay for it.
Well, the old Fed chair, William McKesney Martin, talked about the Fed going to the party and taking the punch bowl away. And the problem with this is that when you spend all this money, the hangover comes. And people don't want to deal with the hangover. But the reality is it will come. So it's probably more like the Titanic, Charles.
You think so? You think that on Main Street, they'll a year from now, they'll say, you know what, the free money was great as we were getting it, but the hangover,
Well, yeah,
inflation,
because
lost jobs.
Well, I think that's this. The inflation will be lower because you'll have a lot of lost jobs. And that's the sad part about it.
Right. Got to pay a price for it. Joe, Daniel, thank you both very, very much. Appreciate it. And later on, folks, I'll share my takeaway on student loan forgiveness and